Welcome back, Dram fans. It's door number 4. Last time we had a really interesting one, definitely unusual. Lots of oakiness and fruitiness in the Penderyn Muscatel de Sabutal, which I think is a region in Portugal, possibly a region that's famous for Muscatel. That's a bit of a guess. I'm pretty sure it's a place in Portugal, but that's about as far as my knowledge of that goes. It was a good one though. Unusual, something different, which is always, or usually, good. Let's see what we've got on door number 4. That kind of smells more to my liking. And that colour is definitely more to my liking. That has to be from a refill cask, doesn't it? There's no way that there's any kind of meaningful sherry or even a first fill bourbon cask has ever seen that. Very, very pale, which usually gives you, it usually tells you that it's going to be a refill whiskey or possibly like a second or third fill bourbon cask whiskey. And it's going to be the kind of malt-driven experience that I enjoy. Let's see. That smells very familiar. Very creamy, a little bit starchy, really hearty, gristy, grainy note. And a little bit of a white fruits note. Reminds me a little bit of Craigellachie. Doesn't smell as strong as the previous door. It's definitely not up there at 60% like that beast of a Penderyn was. But that's okay. A little bit of a flintiness, I think. Maybe a touch of smokiness. It's not a peat bomb. Maybe a little bit of a flinty mineral, gravel, seashores, slightly chalkiness. So a whiskey of two halves perhaps, with that creamy fruitiness and the dry minerality. Reminds me of some early releases from the English Whisky Company, which didn't get that good reception because they had that really ballsy profile from day one, which is perhaps more suited to extended aging. And to be fair to the people giving the negative reviews, English Whisky Company was a bit on the forceful side to be bottled as a 3-year-old single malt, as some of those early batches were. But I think it's the minerality in this reminds me a little bit of those, because it's a really robust, ballsy distillery character. Let's see how it tastes. Possibly reminds me of old Bladnoch, like the Bladnoch before it was reopened, because that always had that slightly fermentary, creamy, yogurty profile with some nice gristy, grainy quality thrown in. It does seem a little bit on the youthful side. And I think that's possibly just because it's so ballsy and aggressive. It's just got so much flavour. I think that this is a spirit which would do very, very well if you matured it in perhaps a refill cask for 20 years. Hopefully that's not what it is. Smells and tastes to me like no more than 10-year-old. It is a youthful but robust style of whiskey. It's got all of the flavour baked into the new make from day one. It doesn't need to lean on a cask, which I don't think this has. I think that the tasting of this probably confirms my suspicion that it's probably a refill cask, probably refill bourbon, possibly a hogshead. light, creamy, sweet, but with a good astringency to it as well. Sweet and creamy, natural unsweetened yogurt, peach, gravel, slightly chalky, tiny hint of like grapefruit juice, like a single drop of grapefruit juice, giving it a nice astringency which balances everything else out. And I think there is, I may be wrong, but I'm getting a slight phenolic quality to this, just like a 5 ppm peaty quality. I think that there's a slight oily, fatty quality on the palate of this one as well, which reminds me a little bit of the oily, dirty, fatty sort of mineral oil quality that you get in a lot of Stoischer, a lot of peated Bunnahabhain, as well as Kalila. I would quite believe that this is like an unpeated Kalila. It's got that kind of profile going on. Really good. Really enjoy that one. Let's see what it is. I think that is another one that, if it's an affordable whiskey and it's still available, because they're all single cask. Why did I do this? If it's still available and affordable, I would probably buy this one. It's another Douglas Laing's Provenance. So that's from the same range as the Tullybarden 10-year-old that we had, which was door 1, I think. But this time it's a Linkwood 10-year-old from 2012, cask number 16,340, and it's 46%, which is the same ABV as the Tullybarden from Douglas Laing's Provenance. Really enjoy that one. I would guess that because it was released a couple of years ago and it's single cask, it's probably gone. Let's have a look. But really surprised that that's a Linkwood, because I think that Linkwood is normally very fruity, appley, smooth, and very, very Speyside-y. It's got that apple and orchard fruit character. And to get that, it's also a sweet and creamy and malty character in this one, but it's also got that astringency and slight minerality. And I was getting a little bit of a smokiness, a very, very faint smokiness, which are all things that I do not associate with Linkwood. So, very surprising, but that definitely puts Linkwood on the list of distilleries that I would like to get to know better with an independent bottling. And I think I probably said that when I did my review of the Flora and Fauna Linkwood, because I really enjoyed that stuff. But at 43%, it's just a sampler, isn't it? It really just tells you if it's something that you want to seek out in all its glory. Because those Flora and Fauna releases, as lucky as we are to have them, you need the real deal, don't you? If you like the distillery. Cask number 16340. Do you still exist? I don't think so. Master of Malt, it is out of stock. And that's about all that's coming up. So I think that we have possibly all missed the boat on that one. But when it did exist, it looked like this. Linkwood 10-year-old, 2012. I quite often see these Douglas Laing's Provenance bottles when I go to my local The English Whisky Distillery, because they used to have an absolutely incredible shop that didn't just have their own products, but they used to sell whisky from distilleries all over Scotland and the world. They used to have Amrit and Irish whiskey and all the Scottish distilleries. Incredible shop. Sadly now that they've just changed it and just made it into mostly their own products. But they've got a few bottles like this always laying around. And I always look at them and think, should I take a chance? Next time I go back, if they've got one of those, I probably will. Hopefully you've got something out of this little blind dram. Certainly shown me that Linkwood can be even greater than I suspected, and it's one that I'll be looking out for in future. Let me know what you think of Linkwood and the Douglas Laing's Provenance range, if you've had any of those. Let me know what your favourites are. Thanks for watching, and cheers.
Ooh.